Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're embarking on a bit of a video game-style journey to really level up your skills and master the 2026 AI landscape. Think of this as your ultimate survival and mastery guide for navigating the incredibly powerful and, sometimes tricky world of artificial intelligence. Okay, let's dive right into this. Take a look at this incredibly bold statement from IBM. Prompt engineering is the new coding. Now that sets the stakes right away, doesn't it? Because knowing how to effectively talk to an AI, it's not just a fun party trick anymore. It is absolutely a fundamental professional and survival skill in 2026. If you want to unlock the full potential of these generative systems, you've got to know exactly how to communicate with them. So, to reach that master level today, we're going to progress through 4 distinct stages. First, meet your AI assistants. Then, the art of prompting. Next, stopping AI hallucinations. And finally, keeping your data safe. Let's kick things off with Level 1, Meet Your AI Assistants. Just like any great role-playing game, your very first step is choosing your character, right? And each heavy hitter here has its own unique superpower. ChatGPT, for instance, absolutely excels in deep reasoning and projects. It even has this memory feature that can store up to 130 specific facts about you, so you don't have to keep repeating yourself every time you log in. Then there's Gemini. Its massive advantage is that it flawlessly connects directly to your Google Workspace. We're talking Gmail, Docs, Drive. It can instantly analyze raw data. It could literally pull a spreadsheet and tell you exactly how many of your 570 oatmeal raisin cookies actually sold, all without ever leaving the chat interface. And finally, we have Claude, which introduces something truly game-changing for complex outputs. Now, what's really interesting here is how Claude handles massive responses. It uses something called an artifact. Basically, this is a dedicated side window for substantial, standalone content, specifically anything over 15 lines. So whether it's a really complex block of Python code, an interactive React component, an SVG image, or a full HTML site, Claude keeps it organized right next to your main conversation. You don't have to scroll endlessly through your chat history to find your work. It's neatly separated, it's easily copyable, and it's ready to be iterated on. Moving right along to Level 2, the art of prompting. Now that you've chosen your AI character and kind of understand their strengths, this is where you learn to wield your primary weapon. Because ultimately, the AI is only as smart as the instructions you give it. According to IBM, we are moving way beyond just typing simple questions. We're actively designing context. And we do this using specific frameworks. For example, fuse shot prompting is literally just giving the AI a few examples to learn from right there in the prompt. Or chain of thoughts, where you force the AI to explain its reasoning step by step before delivering the final answer. So instead of asking the AI to blindly guess what you want, you're actively structuring the interaction and teaching it exactly how to solve your specific problem. So the absolutely crucial point here is that you do not need a perfect prompt on your very first try. As ZDNet highlights in their mastery guide, great prompting is a multi-step process. First up, provide context and describe your audience. Second, supply source material, upload a PDF or a spreadsheet. Third, set formatting constraints. Tell it to summarize in 3 bullet points or use a playful tone. And step 4, iterate and refine. Treat it exactly like a conversation with an eager intern. If the output isn't quite right, just ask the AI to tweak it. Which brings us to Level 3, stopping AI hallucinations. Now, every game has its monsters, right? And in the generative AI landscape, the monster is an AI hallucination. This is when an AI model generates incorrect or misleading information but presents it as absolute fact. It is incredibly vital to remember that large language models don't actually know facts. They completely lack an internal concept of truth. At their core, they're really just acting as highly advanced text predictors, mathematically stringing together words that most plausibly follow your prompt. So, you gotta wonder, if these systems are so incredibly advanced, why do they make things up in the first place? Why can't they just tell us the truth? Well, the causes are deeply technical. It could be something called overfitting, where the model relies way too heavily on limited, memorized training data instead of generalizing. Or it might simply be insufficient or outdated training data. Sometimes it's bad data retrieval when it's pulling from the web, or it's misunderstanding human idioms and slang, or even adversarial attacks that deliberately try to confuse the system's logic. The main takeaway for us here is that these issues are currently unavoidable side effects of the technology. The AI is simply trying its best to fulfill your request with a plausible string of text, even if it has to invent a totally fictitious legal case to do it. But you are definitely not defenseless. You can fight back. Zapier provides a really clear battle plan to minimize these errors. First, give clear, single-step prompts so you don't overwhelm its logic engine. Second, limit the AI's possible outcomes. Giving the AI a strict either-or choice drastically improves its accuracy. Third, provide accurate references. Feed it the specific data you want it to use via a document upload. And fourth, always fact-check important outputs. Trust the formatting for sure, but definitely verify the facts. And finally, we reach our ultimate stage, Level 4, keeping your data safe. Because honestly, generating brilliant, hallucination-free outputs means absolutely nothing if you're simultaneously compromising your personal or company privacy. This level is all about equipping your armor before heading into the digital world. The official 10 tips for users of AI chatbots, which was released by the Office of the Privacy Commissioner for Personal Data in Hong Kong, provides a perfect safety framework for this. As AI becomes so deeply integrated into our daily lives, it's great to see regulatory bodies stepping up to provide these critical guidelines for everyday users. Let's see how this builds into actionable steps. We have 2 extremely practical checklists from those official guidelines: what to do before registration and what to do when actively interacting with AI chatbots. A few key recommendations really stand out for our armor. Before you even start typing, you should adjust your settings to opt out of sharing your chat history for AI model training. And when you're actively interacting, the commissioner actually advises refraining from sharing personal data entirely. They even suggest considering using a pseudonym instead of your real name to protect your identity. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the simplest yet most overlooked pieces of advice from the commissioner, which is basic data hygiene. Just deliberately deleting outdated conversations from your chat history to reduce the risk of data leakage. Just regularly clearing out your old workspace and unused accounts acts as a massive preventative measure against your confidential information accidentally slipping out into the ether.
Well, you have officially leveled up. Now that you've mastered choosing your ideal AI platform, engineering the perfect context-rich prompt, mitigating those tricky hallucinations, and locking down your data privacy with proper digital hygiene, what workflow will you revolutionize today? The tools are totally ready when you are. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, stay focused and keep learning.